This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so let's start now. So once again, good morning all. Today we are here to discuss about this SAP Ariba, right? And we'll talk about the Ariba solutions, whatever the solutions Ariba is offering to the customer. And also we'll discuss about some history about the Ariba, how Ariba was doing earlier, and when the SAP acquired the Ariba and how it becomes the SAP Ariba. That's something we'll discuss. And then apart from that, we'll discuss about this overall solutions of the Ariba. We'll talk about the different types of project as well. And apart from that, we'll discuss about the our job as well. So as the consultant, like whatever the activities we have to perform as part of the Ariba, I mean Ariba project, that's something we'll discuss. We'll talk about the some other functionalities as well. And then I'll demonstrate you these Ariba solutions as well, Ariba system also. So we'll have some navigations of the Ariba system, how Ariba system looks like. That's something also we'll see in today's session. Okay. So let's start the discussion about this SAP Ariba first. So if you talk about, like SAP Ariba, what is the SAP Ariba? So in simple, we can say SAP Ariba is a cloud-based procurement solutions, right? And it is offering a digital platform. With the help of that, as a customer, we can interact with the supplier and we can perform the procurement process digitally. Okay. So just for example, we are also acting as an individual customer, and whenever we have to purchase some particular product, we have to just open some website. We do have different kind of e-commerce site as well. Just like for example, we have to open the Amazon website, we can just create our account on the Amazon, right? And then whatever the product we are looking, we can search in the form of the catalog, and then we can provide some minimal informations, proceed to checkout. That's it, right? So this kind of processes we are following, as per our procurement process. Then similar way, if you talk from the Ariba perspective, so Ariba is also offering a kind of procurement tools, procurement solutions, we can say. And as a customer, we also have to create the account on the Ariba, and with the help of that, we can initiate our procurement process. So whatever the process that you want to perform, that is, you can place any particular order, and the order goes to supplier. And based on the order, supplier is going to deliver the particular product. We have to receive the product, and then we have to perform the invoicing, right? So this kind of solutions Ariba is also offering to the customer, and it is completely cloud-based solutions, right? So in that cases, we don't have to install any kind of any kind of any applications, like we can say uh, any third-party applications or any kind of additional tool. That something is not required. We can easily access this Ariba with the help as a cloud solutions itself. Okay. So if you talk about Ariba, so Ariba is actually founded in the 1996. So the it is basically launched this SAP Ariba on-premise solutions to the customer, right? And it is actually founded in the 1996. Then later in 2012, SAP has actually acquired the Ariba, and from 2012 we can say it becomes the SAP Ariba. So Ariba is a separate entity and SAP is a separate entity. Both are the separate entity itself earlier. And in 2012, SAP has actually acquired the Ariba. So that time they have some different plan. If you are from the SAP background, so like we do have the SAP SAP S/4HANA in the backend, right? And SAP has given some kind of transitions option as well. So customer who are using the SAP as part of the SAP ECC solutions, they have to go with the SAP S/4HANA. And even we do have one more solutions that is called as a SAP SRM in the backend system. And for the SAP SRM, SAP has find out the alternate options of the SAP Ariba. So that is the reason SAP has acquired this Ariba, and their plan was to offer this Ariba product to the customers who are using the SAP SRM, right? And then when the SAP they have acquired this Ariba, so after that they have made lots of changes in the Ariba product. So first of all, they have stopped the support of the on-premise solutions. So earlier SAP was offering these on-premise solutions, right? But now these days, if you see the on-premise solutions is completely stopped, and now customer they have to actually go with the cloud solutions itself. They have the only one option, that is the cloud. So when the SAP acquired the Ariba, they have stopped the support of the on-premise Ariba solutions, and they are only offering the cloud solutions. And it's not about only this stopping the support of the on-premise or the cloud. Even SAP made lots of changes from the solutions perspective as well. So they have stopped the support of the some of the other product. For example, you can say as part of the supplier onboarding, SAP was offering the SIPM module, right? That is called as Supplier Informations and Performance Management. So they have retired this SIPM module as well, and instead of the SIPM, they have given the latest functionality to the customer, that is called as a SLP. Okay. So this kind of feature also SAP has added as part of the Ariba journey. And I would say still if you say Ariba is growing, so SAP is trying to bring the more functionalities in the Ariba platform, right? And also now these days, if you see, so customers who is using the SAP SRM, they are not only going with the Ariba, even the customers who is using the SAP SMM, or we can say SAP S/4HANA. So they are also implementing the SAP Ariba as well because of the digital platform. Okay. So customer they are expecting why not we can perform our sourcing and procurement activities digitally so that we can also have the tracking capabilities and we can perform the different kind of sourcing and procurement activities online. So that is the reason if you see currently Ariba is growing a lot, right? And many of the customers who are from the SAP background, even some of the customers they are from the non-SAP background, they are also implementing the SAP Ariba. Okay. So this is something about this overall Ariba journey. Now, if you see as a customer, so whenever we have to purchase some product, right? Let's say as a customer, I have to purchase some product, right? And as we discussed earlier, what I will do, I'll simply go open any e-commerce site, and from there I will create my account, and then I'll search the particular product, and I'll proceed to checkout. So either I can do that this kind of activities, right? Or even I can do this kind of activities offline as well, right? And as part of the offline, what I can do, I can go to the local supplier, right? I can find out some local supplier. I can do some kind of discussion with the supplier about the price, whatever the best price supplier can offer, and accordingly I can purchase the product, right? So overall, if you see from the procurement point of view, so what kind of process we are going to first follow? So initially, if you see from the customer perspective, so you may have some kind of requirement, right? Let's say I have to purchase the laptop. This is my requirement. I'm the part of the IT department, right? Or I'm the end user. And in that cases, I require this IT equipment, that is the laptop. So generally, what we can do that in these cases, I'll raise this purchase acquisition initially, right? And then after that, the purchase requisitions will go to the purchasing department, or you can say buyer department, and then they have to basically generate the purchase order. And even in most of the cases, if you see, so client they are expecting to have the approval process as well, right? Because they would like to authenticate the purchase requisitions with some superior persons, like you can say supervisor, right? So in that cases, we can say we do have the approval processes as well. And post approval, it will go to the purchasing department. They are going to generate the purchase order, right? And once the purchase order will be created, it will go to the supplier. So we can say supplier received the purchase order, and based on the purchase order, they are going to send you the particular product. So here we can say goods received, right? So they will send you the particular product. We have to receive the product, and then we have to perform the goods receipt. That means we have to enter the goods informations in the system itself. And then in the next, we have to receive the invoice. and based on the invoice, we have to perform the payment to the supplier. So these are the process we are actually following as a customer as part of the procurement process. And in these cases, if you summarize the overall process, this is actually called as a P2P process. Okay. So P2P in the sense we can say that is the procure to pay. And in these cases, we have started our activity with the purchase requisition. Then after that, we have ended our activity with the payment. That's why this is called as a P2P process. But this process as a customer, we are going to follow if you are having the informations about the supplier, right? Now let's take the same example in the different way. So let's say as the end user, we have to purchase some product, right? Let's say we have to purchase some kind of chemical. We are from the manufacturing industries and we have to purchase the chemicals. So when the end user generate the requirement of these chemicals and it will go to the purchasing department, then the purchasing department will first check, do we have the identified supplier or not, right? So it's not like that when the purchasing department they are going to receive any requirement from the business user, end user, they will directly place the order. They will also first check from which supplier we have to purchase this particular chemical. Have you purchased this chemical from any of the supplier earlier, right? Do we have any identified supplier? If you do have the identified supplier, so do we have the some better market price? All the different kind of things purchasing department is going to check, right? So in some cases, if they are having the identified supplier in place, then in that case, they don't have to worry. They will simply perform the procurement process itself, right? Otherwise, if they are not having the identified supplier, then in that cases, what they are going to do? So let's say I'm just going to mention there is no identified supplier. So in these cases, what the business user they are going to do that. That means the purchasing department team, what they are going to do that they are first going to follow the process of the sourcing, right? So as part of the sourcing, what they are going to do that. So they are first going to identify the supplier, right? And then do the supplier negotiation. So what they will do, they will discuss with the supplier. They will simply say like, I want to purchase these chemicals and this much of the quantity we need to purchase on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, or based on the requirement basis. But you have to offer the better price. So whatever the price supplier they are going to offer to the client will do some kind of negotiation, right? And based on that, client has to finalize the agreement as well. So they will finalize the agreement and whatever the things they discussed, right, with the supplier. So if you are going to purchase this much of the quantity, so we'll get this much of the discounts, right, on the MRP. And even if you achieve this kind of quantity or volume of the purchasing, so we are also going to receive some kind of additional discount, right? And this will be the payment term, right? We have to make the payment on this. So different things that we have to finalize with the supplier. We have to finalize the agreement with the supplier, right? Then once you finalize this, then after that only we are going to start the procurement process and we will move to the procurement process. And then in that cases, we have to actually initiate the procurement activities that is from the purchase requisition to the payment process. This process we have to actually follow, right? So now here we can just identify that is the P2P process. So we have to follow the P2P process itself. So overall in these cases, if you see as a customer, whenever we are going to initiate the procurement process, so it's not like that we are just going to follow this procurement process based on the requirement. If the source is supply already identified, then only we are going to follow this process, right? Otherwise, if the source of supply is not in place, then in that cases we are going to follow first the sourcing process here. Okay. So, and in that cases, we are going to first, like fix the supplier from which supplier we have to purchase by negotiating with the supplier, with the finalizing the agreement as well. And then after that, we are going to start the procurement activities, right? We are going to initiate the purchasing with the supplier. So if you talk about this overall process, that is the sourcing and procurement process. So in short, this is also called as that S2P process as well. So we can say this is the S2P process. That means source to pay process. Okay. So we can perform the sourcing activity, we can perform the procurement activities. That's something we can do that with the help of the source to pay process. So similar way, if you talk about the SAP Ariba solutions, right? So Ariba solutions are actually divided in two parts. One part is called as at Ariba upstream, and second part is called as at Ariba downstream. Okay. Then if we talk about this Ariba upstream and downstream, so in case of this Ariba upstream, so SAP has given some list of the solutions, that is SLP solutions. Then we do have the sourcing, and apart from this, we do have the Ariba contract module as well. Okay. So in these cases, if you see with the help of the upstream, what we can do that. So with the help of this upstream, we do have the Ariba SLP module. So SLP stands for the Supplier Lifecycle and Performance Management. And with the help of this Ariba SLP module, we can manage the supplier. So whatever the different onboarding process that we have to perform as a customer, that kind of things we can do that with the help of the Ariba SLP module. And then we do have the Ariba sourcing module. So with the help of the Ariba sourcing module, we can perform the negotiation activities. So whatever the different types of negotiation you would like to do, sometimes you would like to have the informations negotiation, or you would like to have the price negotiations, competitive negotiation. So whatever the negotiation that you want to do, that we can do that with the help of the sourcing, right? Then we do have the Ariba contract, and with the help of the contract, we can create the legal contract with the supplier, and whatever the term and conditions, additional pricing, additional discount informations, or any kind of milestone, that's something you want to include, that we can do that with the help of the Ariba contract module. Okay. So overall, we can say that with the help of this Ariba upstream, we can actually work on the source determinations, right? And then with the help of this Ariba downstream, so as part of the Ariba downstream, we do have the Ariba buying and the invoicing. Okay. So with the help of this Ariba buying and invoicing process, or we can say like with the help of this feature, we can perform the procurement process, right? And as part of the procurement process, we can actually perform this from the creating the purchase requisitions to the payment process. This activity, we can do that. Okay. But one thing I would like to highlight in these cases, so if you see, in these cases, we do have the Ariba buying and invoicing solutions. So we do have the two different solutions here. One is the buying and second is the invoicing. Okay. So sometimes it may happen, some customer, they would like to only follow till buying activity. They don't want to go with the invoicing process, right? So if you talk about the only buying process, so only buying process means we can say till this process. So we can create the requisitions based on the internal requirement, and then we have to work with the purchase order. Purchase order will be generated automatically in the Ariba actually. And then the purchase order will be communicated to the supplier over the Ariba platform. And then supplier will deliver the particular product. That is the buying process. Okay. So this is something buying. Otherwise, if customer they want to perform the invoicing as well with the Ariba, then they have to go with the invoicing solutions as well. And then with the help of this, they can perform this buying and invoicing process itself. So overall, these are the solutions Ariba is offering as part of this upstream, we can say, right? Now, one more thing I would like to highlight here. So here, if we talk about the Ariba SLP module, right? So in case of this Ariba SLP module, it's not about going to offer you the supplier onboarding process, right? Or we can say supply management activities. Even we do have the options about the supplier performance as well. So here we can say SPM, that means supplier performance management, right? So usually as a customer, once we identified the particular supplier and if you, once you started the procurement process with the supplier, then after some certain time period, after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever the time that something defined by the customer, we would like to check the performance of the supplier, how supplier they are doing, right? How they are performing in terms of the quality of the product, in terms of the on-time delivery, right? In terms of the any customer complaints, right? Or even you can see from the finance perspective as well. So we would like to check the performance of the supplier. So we do have the capabilities in Ariba. We can measure the supply performance as well based on some certain KPIs, based on some certain survey as well, right? So for that, SAP is also offering the SPM module, that is the supply performance management, and this is a part of the Ariba SLP solution itself. And with the help of that, if you want to measure the performance of the supplier, that's something also we can measure, and we can get some automatically score whatever the score supplier they received as part of the performance measurement. And if you want to define some kind of actions plan, so if supplier is doing well, then it's good, we can continue with the supplier. Otherwise, in some cases, you find out supplier having the like lowest rating, and you want to define some kind of actions plan, you want to provide the actions plan to the supplier so that supplier can like comment on that. This kind of thing also we can do that with the help of the SPM module. Okay, so we will talk about all these features as well. We'll talk about this SLP, sourcing, contract, SPM. Even we'll discuss about the Ariba buying and invoicing solutions as well. So these are the overall solutions SAP has given to the customer. Now before moving ahead, is there any questions from anyone? Okay. Now moving to the next, if you see as a customer, if you want to purchase any of the Ariba license, right? So if your customer they are from the backend SAP system, and in their cases, if they want to go with any of the Ariba solutions, that is the upstream and downstream. So SAP has given this kind of flexibility to the customer. Customer can choose any of the particular Ariba feature, right? Let's say I'm the customer, I'm using the SAP MM. And in that cases, I do have the major challenges on the RFQ process, because whatever the RFQ process SAP has given, that is not up to the mark, right? And that's why I would like to go with the Ariba sourcing module itself. So I don't want to go with the other modules in that cases, because I'm okay to the doing the in the backend SAP system itself. Only for only struggle or pain point is that quotation part. So for that, I would like to go with this, like only sourcing module. So we do have the flexibility as a customer. If I want to go with the Ariba sourcing module, I can go with the Ariba sourcing module itself. Otherwise, let's say I'm struggling in the contracting process as well. So I want to go with the sourcing and contract. I do have the flexibility. I can go with the sourcing and contract. Or even if I would like to go with this entire Ariba upstream, including SLP sourcing contract, I can go ahead and I can purchase the license of the entire Ariba upstream itself. Okay. So if your customer they are going to purchase only this Ariba upstream license, so this is also called as S2C solutions as well. And S2C solutions means you can say that is source to contract. Okay. So I do have the flexibility. I can purchase only this Ariba upstream, that is S2C license also I can purchase. Otherwise, in some cases, let's say from sourcing point of view, as a client, I'm okay with my backend SAP system, and I would like to perform the only procurement process with the help of the Ariba. Then I do have the flexibility. I can only purchase the license of the Ariba downstream as well. Okay. So in that cases, I'm not going to purchase the license of the Ariba upstream. I would like to purchase only the Ariba downstream license, that is Ariba buying and invoicing. And even as part of the buying and invoicings, I do have the options. I can choose only buying, right? Or I can choose only invoicing, or even if I want to choose the entire Ariba buying invoicing, I can choose. Okay. So I do have this kind of flexibility as well. So in some other cases, as a client, if I want to go with the entire Ariba upstream and downstream, that options also do have, right? I can go with the entire Ariba upstream and downstream itself. So as a customer, if you are going to purchase the Ariba upstream downstream license both, then this is also called as a suite integrated site. So we can say that is the suite integration. So that is also called as a suite integration. That means this includes Ariba upstream and downstream both. Okay. So this is something from the licensing point of view. Let me add one more thing here. So if you talk about the license, if you see from the licensing perspective, so Ariba license are basically driven on the two parameter. So one parameter is that based on the transactions value. So whatever the transactions you are going to perform, right? Based on that, we have to pay the fees to the to the Ariba company. And second parameter is that based on the user license. Okay. So whatever the like list of the users or how many users license that you want to purchase, that's something you can purchase. So in case if you talk about the transactions volume, so in that cases, let's say for example, you are going to perform the transaction something 0 to 100, just for example, then in that cases you may have to pay something this much of the amount to the Ariba company. So they are charging something 0.5 percentage of the total transactions, 0.25 percentage of the something total invoice amount, like that they are charging. So whatever the transactions you are going to perform as a customer on the Ariba, accordingly you have to pay the particular certain amount to the Ariba company. So this much of the amount you have to pay, right? So this is the one parameter that is driving about the Ariba license, and apart from that, it is also driving based on the user license as well. Okay. So let's say as a client, if you are going to give the Ariba license to up to the only 50 users, then in that cases you may have to pay some certain amount to the Ariba company. Or even in some cases, let's say you are going to give something 100 users license, right? You have the list of the 100 users who is going to use the Ariba solutions, and in that cases you have you have to pay this much of the amount. So these two parameter is going to drive your licensing cost as well, licensing fee also. That is overall transaction based on the transactions volume and even based on the user license itself. Okay, but this is applicable only from the customer point of view, only from the buying organization point of view. If you talk about from the supplier perspective, this is just only for your information purpose. If you talk about from supplier perspective, so supplier has to pay, so there is no licensing fee from the supplier perspective, that is available totally free of cost, right? But based on the volume of the transactions, so whatever the transactions that supplier they are going to perform, they have to pay the licensing fee accordingly. The main transactional fee actually is called as, it's not called as the licensing fee. So from based on the number of users, it's not going to impact from the supplier perspective, but of course, based on the transactional volume, whatever supplier is going to perform. So how many purchase order they have processed in 1 year, how many invoices they have, invoiced. So against that, they have to pay the transactional fee to the SAP Ariba. Okay. Now, one more important thing I would like to just add here, since we're talking about the licensing part. So, in some cases, if you see from the client perspective, so as we discussed earlier, whatever the flavor the client they would like to choose, they can choose. If they want to go with any specific module, they can go. Or if they want to go with any of these, like the entire suite package that is including upstream, downstream, they can go ahead, right? So, and also it is going to, like impact on the licensing fee as well. So of course, if you are going to choose any of the single piece, right, you have to pay some higher, like some more amount. If you are going to choose one or two pieces of the solutions, then also you may have to pay something more amount. Otherwise, if you are going to purchase the entire, like this kit that includes SLP sourcing contract, definitely the costing will be a little bit lower if you are going to purchase separately, right? Or even in some cases, you are going to purchase the entire Ariba upstream, downstream both. You have to pay something like on that little bit less amount as compared to the individual solutions, right? So in these cases, sometimes what customer they are doing, even in my previous project as well, the customer they did something. So initially they had the plan like they want to utilize the only Ariba sourcing module. They don't want to use the Ariba SLP and contract module. But because of this total cost, right? They thought like why not we can purchase in a bundle so that we'll get some kind of discount, right? And then first we'll use this Ariba sourcing module or any of the Ariba module. Later we'll start using the Ariba contract and Ariba SLP module. So if the customer they are having this plan, that is fine, they can do that. But thing is that as a Ariba consultant, Ariba professionals, we have to suggest to the client as well. So if initially they want to purchase the entire license, they can purchase, but whatever the custom development they are expecting in the system. Okay. Let me just share one experience here that will give you more clarity. So as I said, like initially earlier, I was working on one of the project, and the customer they have purchased the entire Ariba upstream license, but their plan was to use the sourcing first, implement the sourcing module first, and then they want to start the SLP and the contract module. So as a best practice, we have suggested to the customer because SAP has given 6 months of the buffer period, right? So the day when you purchase the Ariba license, you have to do any kind of custom development within 6 months itself. And once you will go up like after 6 months, then Ariba is not going to support you any kind of like a custom development in that cases, and then you have to pay some additional fee to the Ariba company if you want to do any kind of enhancement. So that is the reason initially when we were implementing the sourcing module, even though there was no plan to implement the sourcing that contract and the SLP, but we have gathered the informations from the enhancement perspective. Do customer they do have some kind of requirement to do some kind of add custom field or any custom thing. So those informations also we have captured and we have delivered as well, only the custom thing, because after 6 months, Ariba is not going to offer this enhancement object to the customer as part of the licensing fee. So this thing also we need to take care, we should know, and we need to take care while working on the implementation project. Okay. Any questions at this moment from anyone, team? Okay.
Yeah, if we buy the
Mhm.
like license, like is there any limit for the transaction or it is unlimited for the user license?
It's unlimited based on the requirement. We don't have any kind of limit restrictions based on the users. Whatever the number of users you want to take the license, you can take and you can perform the transactions as per your choice.
Means I mean the transaction volume, as you told, like if it is built upon the volume of the purchase or the volume of the number of POs, right?
Right.
So if the user can go go with if the client can go with the user, that will be good if they have a big volume, right?
Yeah, yeah. So see, this based on the user and the volume, both are basically different parameter itself. So based on the users, there is no restrictions of the total volume of the transactions. So whatever the n number of transactions or n number of volume transactions you want to perform, you can perform.
Okay.
It's not depending on the user like list of the users. But here I was just trying to explain. So based on these two parameter, we are going to pay some fee to the Ariba company. We have to pay based on this, like on the number of users, how many users license you purchased. And then based on the volume transactions, so whatever the total volume of transactions you perform, based on that also you have to pay some fee to the Ariba company.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now let's talk about the types of the project. Generally, if you talk about from the types of the project, right? So you may get a chance to work on the different types of the project. So first, you may get a chance to work on the implementation project. Okay. Now, what is the implementation project? If your client is not on the Ariba, they are using some different solutions, let's say SAP MM or S/4HANA, right? And in these cases, your customer, they want to go with the Ariba, they heard about this Ariba, and they discuss with the Ariba sales team as well. And usually, as part of the Ariba implementation, so whenever any customer they have to implement the Ariba, they will first discuss with the Ariba sales team, and Ariba sales team they will understand their business process. Based on that, they will suggest whatever the Ariba solutions the customer they have to implement. Then customer they will check their budget as well, their fund, and based on the budget or you can say fund, they will decide which module they want to implement. So whatever the particular solutions that customer they want to implement, that is already finalized. And then after that, that client, so client they will not purchase the license on that day itself. They will decide some kind of timeline like, okay, we are going to purchase this particular license on this date or this month, and we will start the implementation on that time period itself, right? So what customer they will do, that customer they will circulate some kind of RFP to the different implementation partner team. Implementation partner team means you can say the list of the IT companies. You can take the name of the any IT companies, right? So those IT companies they will receive some kind of RFP or you can say quotation request, and based on that the particular implementation partner team they have to submit the best quotes to the customer. Customer will check the quotations, and whatever quotations they will finalize, they will award for the implementation project. So as part of this like implementation project, we have to build this, we have to design the Ariba applications. So design in the sense, as you know, Ariba is a cloud solutions, right? So we are not going to develop any kind of application. So whatever the application that Ariba is offering, that is already pre-built with the best practice informations. What we have to do as a Ariba professional, so we are going to map the client business process with the Ariba applications. So whatever the different kind of approval workflow customer they are expecting, that we can design with the help of the Ariba applications. And even if you see in the Ariba upstream, we do have the important parameter that is template. And template is going to drive your entire Ariba upstream process as well. So whatever the different kind of process a customer they would like to follow, we have designed the template. Whatever the different master data that we require, that we have to set up, right? Even we do have the flexibility from the integration point of view as well. I'll talk about integration in some time. So so we have to set up the integrations as well of the Ariba solutions with the backend SAP system. So this kind of configurations we have to actually perform as part of the implementation. Okay. So you may get a chance to work on this, like implementation project. And while working on the implementation project as a Ariba professional, we are going to perform these two activities. So we are going to perform the individual activity, and plus we are going to perform the designing process as well, designing activity as well. So what is the individual activities and what is designing activities? Individual activities means if you see your customer, they are new for the Ariba, right? They don't know what is the SAP Ariba. They know about something basics, or they are completely blank about the Ariba. So what we have to do, that we have to demonstrate the Ariba solutions, in the workshop. We have to conduct the workshop with the client user, and we have to brief about this. Ariba solutions, or whatever solutions the customer they have finalized to implement. Let's say they have finalized to implement the Ariba procurement solution. So we have to show them how to create the requisitions on the Ariba, how we have to actually manage the purchase order, how to receive the order confirmation, how to receive the advance ship notice, how we can perform the receiving, how to do invoicing. All this process we have to explain to the client. Okay. And then we have to capture the requirement as well. So while system demonstration itself, you have to ask their requirement. Do they have such kind of requirement to add some kind of custom field or any kind of field they would like to make mandatory or optional? What different kind of approval flow they are expecting, right? So all this information so we have to capture as part of the individual activity here, right? And then based on the requirement, whatever the requirement you received, based on that you are going to design the Ariba system itself. So we have to design the approval workflow, whatever the customer they have requested, right? We have to set up the all the particular integrations as well. All these master data informations we have to set up. We have to define the template also, right? So whatever the list of the configurations activity that required to run this individual process, for that we have to perform the we have to design the system itself. So you may get a chance to work on this, the implementation project as well, where you are going to set up the Ariba applications as per the client requirement. And in these cases, we have to perform the individual activity as well as the consultant activity also. Okay. Then once the implementation will be completed, let's say we are the part of the one IT companies and we have done the implementation. And after that, we have completed the hypercare support as well. So generally, if we talk about hypercare support, so post implementation, we have to give 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or you can say 8 weeks of the hypercare support based on your agreement with the client. Then after that, client has to maintain their application systems, right? They have to maintain their applications, and even on daily basis, if they are facing some kind of challenges, so definitely they will look some kind of IT support as well, right? And in that cases, you have to basically support to your customer, and that will come as part of the support project. Okay. So in these cases, we are going to work on the ticket basis. So whatever the different kind of ticket that you are going to receive from the client, we have to work on the daily basis ticket. And based on the ticket, sometime you may identify that this is a kind of new change request, and it requires some kind of enhancement, some kind of customization. So we have to work on that as well, depending on the agreement or what you have signed up with the client, right? And that will come as part of the support project itself. So generally, overall, we can say as part of the support project, we are going to support customers on daily basis, and even you may get a chance to work on the different kind of change request as well, that is the enhancement. Okay. Then apart from that, we have the other project, that is the rollout project as well. So rollout project in the sense, let's say initially while working on this Ariba implementation, you have implemented the Ariba for 10 company codes, or we can take some region wise example. You have implemented the Ariba for the India region initially, right? Now client they are using in the India region only, they are using these Ariba applications, right? But now client they want to expand this feature, this process to the other region as well. And in that cases, client want to implement for the, let's say, USA regions, right? Or they want to go with the some, let's say, APAC region. So in that cases, it will if they want to include this APAC region and the USA region, that will come as part of the rollout. So rollout generally include the, we can say, a kind of implementation itself. So we have to check the processes, business processes of the other region. And based on that, we have to check how we can map the other region process in the Ariba itself. So whatever the different company that require to extend this, so that's something we have to basically include the list of the companies, and whatever the other setup, that's something we required that will come as part of the rollout. So overall, if you see, you may get a chance to work on this rollout project as well. So these are the different types of project that generally you may get a chance to work on this. Okay. Now, any questions here? Okay. Now give me just one moment and let me just log in the system. Let me just show you the Ariba system as well. Okay. And then I'll come to the Ariba course curriculum. Just one moment. And meanwhile, if we talk about the Ariba authentication, right? Even we are going to discuss in the coming session how actually we can authenticate the Ariba. But overall, if you see Ariba is supporting the different kind of authentication mechanism. So if your customer they want to go with the single sign-on, we can use this single sign-on as well. Or even in some cases, if your customer they want to go with this like basic authentication. Basic authentication means you can say we have to enter the user ID and password manually, right? So we can have the basic authentication also. Or even if we talk about this, we do have the other option that is the MFA, multi-factor authentication. So in some cases, if customer they want to go with the multi-factor authentication, so they can go with the multi-factor authentication as well. So this option also is available with the Ariba. So whatever the options that customer they want to actually perform, they can perform any of the authentication, right? So whatever the particular authentication that you are going to follow as a client, right? So once you logged in successfully in the Ariba system, so you will able to see this kind of screen. So this is called as the Ariba dashboard, or you can say Ariba homepage, right? And here we can see the different kind of information. So for one thing, if you talk about this Ariba access, so in SAP Ariba also we do have the concept of the authorizations, right? And whatever the particular role that is something assigned in your profile, accordingly you will able to see the particular informations as well, right? So here we can see it is showing the different tab, that is home, contract, procurement, catalog, even more options as well. And if you click on this more, you will able to see some other options. So based on this, we can easily identify that whatever the particular solutions your customer they have implemented. Okay. And even if you go to the any of the particular solutions here, let's say for example, if I'll go to the contract, so with the help of this contract, you will able to see the any contract relevant informations, right? And even we can see we do have the search bar options as well. And Ariba is supporting the different kind of search functionality. You can do some kind of fuzzy search. You can just type some kind of word here or some number, not number. You can just type some kind of word and system will try to find out if any particular documents exist with that name itself, right? So whatever the particular information that you want to find out, we can find out any of the particular informations with the help of the dashboard. And even SAP has given some self-service options to the customer, to the business user. And if you want to set up your dashboard, like you want to add some different kind of contents, different kind of in tiles. So these options also we do have, we can do the adjustment here, right? So we can come to this like options, we can see we do have these setting options. So with the help of these setting options, we can add the different kind of contents, whatever the content that you want to add here, we can add, right? And even if you see, we do have the create, manage, and recent menu. So if you go to the create options here, with the help of this, we can create the particular documents, whatever the particular transactions you want to create. So if you want to create the supplier, we can create the supplier. We can create the any particular sourcing. We can create the, like a particular, like any contracting documents as well. This kind of things, so we can do that. So this is overall Ariba dashboard. Even if you talk about from the configurations perspective, so like Ariba is completely cloud solutions, right? So in these cases, we don't have to recall any kind of transactions code. So generally, if you see from SAP ERP system, whenever we have to do any setup, any particular configuration, so we have to go to the SPRO transactions, right? And then, or we have to follow some kind of IMG path as well. Then only we can perform the particular configurations. But in SAP Ariba, this is not the case, right? So Ariba is having completely UI based configurations, user interface based configurations. So if you see, we do have the manage options here, and with the help of the manage options, we can see we do have the options about the administration. This is for the upstream configurations. We do have the approval processes. With the help of this, we can design the any particular approval workflow. And we do have the capabilities. We can build up the different kind of conditions. That's something we can do that. We do have the core administration. With the help of that, we can set up the downstream configurations, right? Even we do have the template options as well. With the help of the template and even SM administration, we can do different kind of configurations. So whatever the configurations that we have to actually perform, we can navigate with the help of the UI. You can choose the particular node, and then with the help of that, whatever the setup that you want to do, we can do that. So we don't have the transactions code specific configuration setup in SAP Ariba. We do have the completely UI based, and this is our responsibility. So whatever the user interface configurations we can see in the manage menu, so we have to actually perform all these configurations as the Ariba professionals. Okay. Okay. Now in the last, let me just go through the course curriculum. So let me just show you the course curriculum also. Just a moment. All right. So overall, if we talk about this total journey, so it required the around 40 hours, right? And usually we'll have this session Monday to Friday, 1 hour on every weekdays on the agreed timing, right? And as part of the training, you are also going to receive the 2 month of the system access as well. That will be 24 into 7. So whenever you want to do the hands-on, you can do the practice. You can, practice yourself in the system itself. Even like on every day when before starting the session itself, will also I'm also catching the questions as well. So while doing the practice earlier, if you're facing some kind of challenges or you do have some kind of questions, so we are taking those questions as well, and then after that we are continuing our regular session. Okay. Then if we talk about from this overall course curriculum, so we are going to start our journey from the scratch, right? And we'll talk about the some basics of the Ariba. So we will discuss that is how we can authenticate the Ariba, right? Whatever different kind of system landscape that you can see from the customer point of view, right? Whatever the bundle of solutions Ariba is offering that we are going to discuss. And then after that, we are going to talk about the Ariba supplier solutions as well. And we'll just try to understand from the business user point of view how to run these transactions. We'll not spend that much time because these are the individual activities. But as Ariba consultant, it is very essential to know about the business process as well. So we'll run the business process about the Ariba SLP module, and whatever the important interview questions will be there. That's something also will highlight there. Then we'll discuss about the Ariba sourcing module. We'll talk about the Ariba network portal as well, and even we'll discuss about the guided sourcing, and then we'll discuss about the Ariba contract solutions, right? So whatever the different options we do have in Ariba contract module that we'll discuss. And then apart from that, we'll talk about the Ariba buying and invoicing solutions as well. And we'll see how we have to run the procurement activities. And that's something we'll discuss. And here we are going to talk about the guided buying also. We'll talk about the guided buying solutions. And then we'll talk about the integration part. So if you talk about from the integration point of view, so as earlier while talking about the licensing part, as we discussed, like let's say I'm the customer, I want to go with only Ariba sourcing module because I'm struggling in the quotation processes, right? And rest of the processes is okay in SAP ERP system. So in that cases, as a customer, how I'm going to utilize only Ariba sourcing module, because Ariba is a different landscape and our ERP is a different environment, different system itself. So how we are going to use the Ariba sourcing module? So in that cases, as a client, my expectation is that Ariba should be integrated with the backend SAP ERP system. So that whatever the particular transactions, if I'm going to create in Ariba or in ERP, that transactions should get transmitted between the both the systems, right? Or any kind of master data informations if needed from backend SAP system to Ariba system, that's something we should be able to push that. So this kind of things we can actually achieve with the help of the CIG integration, right? And we'll talk about the CIG integration as well. So CIG stands for the Cloud Integration Gateway. Even CIG has been renamed earlier. So earlier it was calling as the Cloud Integration Gateway, but now it's called as Managed Gateway Spend and Network for the buyer. Okay. So we are going to also discuss about the CIG integration configurations also, how we are going to, what configurations we have to perform to integrate the Ariba applications with the backend SAP system, right? So what configurations we have to do from backend system perspective, on Ariba perspective, or CIG portal perspective. That thing also we'll discuss. And then apart from that, we are going to discuss about the configurations part, that is the template configurations. We'll talk about the different template setup. We'll talk about the approval configurations, SM administration configurations, master data setup, user setup. So all the different configurations which usually we have to perform, we are going to talk about that. Okay. And then after that, we'll talk about the reporting functionality as well. Whatever the reporting tool that we do have in Ariba, how to run the particular report, that we'll discuss. And then in the last of this session, we'll summarize the overall implementation process as well, because mostly whenever you are trying to appear in any interview, so they are expecting to you should have some implementation knowledge, implementation experience, right? So as part of this, we are going to summarize the overall implementation process. Even in day-to-day session, we will see some list of the documents as well, which we need to prepare while working on the implementation project. And then based on that, we will summarize the overall process, how actually implementation is going on, and whatever the role we have to play as a Ariba consultant, right? What are different phases we have to follow as part of the Ariba implementation, right? All those things we are going to discuss in this session. So this will be the overall journey of our Ariba, this Ariba courses, right? All right. So that's it from my side. Is there any questions from anyone? All right. So thanks for your time. Thank you so much. We'll see in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit.